Chapter 1. The sun streamed through the curtains, hitting me with the perfect amount of warmth as I slowly woke up. I stretched lazily, then immediately froze. Something felt off. I looked around. Lucian, my husband, was still asleep beside me, his back turned to me, a slight frown on his face. His chest rose and fell steadily, but for some reason, I felt a weird unease. Was this supposed to be romantic? Probably. But I didn't care. Instead, I lay there, deep in thought. What now? I was in this new world with a husband I didn't know, in a life that wasn't mine. I was supposed to be the long-suffering wife, right? But that wasn't happening. I wasn't going to beg for his attention, chase after him, or fall into some cheesy plotline where I was supposed to be the victim. Nope, not me. I closed my eyes and let my mind wander. I didn't care if Lucian had some mysterious destiny or whatever. I was going to live my life how I wanted. No one was going to tell me how I should act, especially not some poorly written romance novel. As I lay there, the sound of Lucian's breathing was the only thing that filled the silence. Then, something strange happened. It wasn't that I heard something physically, no, it was more of a vibe. A shift in the air. Are you okay? Lucian's voice suddenly broke through the stillness, sounding more concerned than I'd expected. I blinked and sat up quickly. Wait, did he just speak to me? He didn't move, still lying on his side, facing away from me. His voice seemed odd, like he was talking to me from the other side of a fog. I shook my head, trying to push the strange feeling away. What? I asked, not sure if I had heard him correctly. You've been quiet for a while, Lucian continued, sounding oddly concerned for someone who barely knew me. Is something wrong? I swallowed, suddenly feeling awkward. I didn't even know how to respond to that. I wasn't used to this attention. No, I said quickly, brushing it off. I'm just thinking. Lucian didn't seem convinced. I could feel his gaze on me, though I couldn't see his eyes. He was still facing away, but I could sense his focus, his attention on me. Why was he so invested in me? A beat of silence passed. You sure you're okay? Lucian asked again, his voice soft, almost caring. I frowned. It felt like he was genuinely concerned, which didn't make sense. Shouldn't he be indifferent? Wouldn't most husbands in this situation just ignore their wives? Yes, I said, not entirely sure if I was convincing either of us. I'm fine. Really? I pulled the covers tighter around me, unsure of why his concern was affecting me more than it should. Was this the plot kicking in? Was I supposed to be touched by his attention? But no, this wasn't my plot. I was going to do things my way. Chapter 2, I tried to convince myself that my new life wasn't that complicated. After all, I was a woman with an agenda. I had a plan, and my plan didn't involve running after my distant, brooding husband, no matter how rich or powerful he was. The fact that he was a big, dark, mysterious figure didn't intimidate me. I was in charge of my own fate, right? But as I walked through the grand hallways of the mansion, my mind couldn't shake the lingering thoughts about Lucian. He was acting strange. The way he had spoken to me this morning felt too real, too concerned. Why did he care so much? The plot said he was supposed to be emotionally distant, right? Maybe it was all just some fluke, a small detail that didn't mean anything. After all, I had no intention of following the script. I decided to get ready for the day and avoid thinking about him. If I could just focus on something else, I could shake the confusion. I dressed in the kind of clothes that I imagined a rich NPC would wear, something elegant yet simple. I had no desire to draw attention, not yet anyway. But the day was young, and there was so much to do. As I stepped into the kitchen, the smell of fresh coffee and pastries filled the air. I inhaled deeply, taking in the comforting scent as I reached for a croissant. Good morning. Lucian's voice broke into my thoughts once again. I turned around to see him standing in the doorway, dressed in his usual dark, tailored suit. Was this his normal morning routine, or was he just avoiding work? I couldn't help but notice the faint crease on his forehead, a mark of concern, or was it confusion? He studied me for a moment, his eyes flicking over my face as if looking for something. What was going on? Good morning, I muttered back, unsure of how to act. I hadn't expected him to approach me like this. There was a beat of silence, and then Lucian spoke again. Are you sure everything's okay? You've been acting different since this morning. What was he talking about? Acting different? I had literally just woken up, and I was in a new world, for crying out loud. Was he really that perceptive? I'm fine, I said a little too quickly. I'm just adjusting. Lucian's gaze didn't leave me, as if he were trying to figure out if I was lying. I began to feel that strange, unsettling feeling again, like there was something he knew that I didn't. It was unsettling, but I couldn't put my finger on it. You don't have to lie, he said, his voice surprisingly gentle. You've been quiet. I can tell. It's not like you. I froze. How could he tell? He couldn't possibly know that much about me. We'd only known each other for a short time, and it wasn't like we had a long, happy marriage. Lucian, I'm really fine, I repeated, hoping he would drop it. Just trying to get used to things here. A long silence stretched between us, and then he suddenly stepped closer, his eyes narrowing as if something in my words didn't sit right with him. Are you sure you're adjusting? He asked again, as if he hadn't heard anything I said. His voice was calm, but there was an edge of concern. I couldn't place it. For a moment, it felt like time slowed down, and I could only focus on the strange intensity in his eyes. It felt like he could see right through me, like he was waiting for me to slip up. I couldn't help but feel exposed in some way, but I pushed it away. Yes, Lucian, I'm sure, I said, my voice a little more firm this time. I wasn't going to let him get into my head. He seemed to take a step back, though there was still that perplexed frown on his face. He opened his mouth like he wanted to say something else, but stopped. Instead, he just gave me a short nod. Well, he said finally, I'll be in my study if you need anything. I nodded quickly, eager for the conversation to end. He turned and left, and once again, I was left alone with my thoughts. What was going on? Why was he acting this way? I tried to shake off the nagging feeling in my chest, but the truth was, I was starting to get more and more confused. I was not supposed to be feeling any of this, and yet, here I was, feeling like I was missing something. Was Lucian more perceptive than I had first thought? Or was there something else going on that I couldn't understand? I walked over to the window, staring out at the view of the estate grounds. Maybe it was best to stick to my plan and ignore all this nonsense. Just live my life, have fun, and spend money. After all, nothing else really mattered, right? But deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that this story was going to be a lot more complicated than I had originally thought. Chapter 3, When All Else Fails, Spend Money. That was my official motto for surviving this ridiculous transmigration. I wasn't going to cry over a distant husband, especially not when I had access to a black card, a personal driver, and a closet that probably had its own zip code. S.O. I went shopping. Madam, are you sure you want all 6 pairs? The boutique manager asked, her voice trembling as I casually pointed to another row of overpriced designer heels. I gave her my best rich wife smile. Actually, make it 7. 1 in every color. Her eyes sparkled. I might have been a background character in this novel, but today I was the main event, at least on this shopping street. The salespeople practically rolled out a red carpet behind me. Meanwhile, in my head, I was still battling the growing suspicion that my husband could somehow read minds. Ridiculous, right? Except, this morning was weird. He'd been hovering, watching, asking questions like, "Are you sure you're okay?" in the same tone people used when you're about to set your house on fire and insist everything's fine. I mean, how else would he know I was thinking about the plot? I hadn't said anything out loud. Unless he actually could read my thoughts. I paused mid-handbag selection. N.O. That was insane. That was Delulu. That was main character level stuff, and I was a glorified extra in this book. I shook the thought away and gestured toward 3 purses. Wrap these up too. At this rate, I was either going to bankrupt him or get offered a fashion sponsorship. As I left the boutique, loaded down with bags, I strutted like a woman who definitely wasn't spiraling. Nope, not at all. Just a casual day of being fabulous and suppressing existential dread. By the time I got home, Lucian was already there, casually sipping wine in the lounge like some gothic sculpture brought to life. He looked up the moment I entered, his gaze flicking from my shopping bags to my expression. "You were out late," he said calmly, "and you're surprisingly observant," I muttered before catching myself. "Lila, you're not supposed to sound suspicious. Get it together." He tilted his head slightly. "Did you enjoy yourself?" "Yes." Retail therapy does wonders when you think your husband's about to ditch you for a villain sister he hasn't even met yet. Wait, did I say that out loud? Lucian's wine glass froze halfway to his lips. His expression remained unreadable, classic Lucian, but his eyes, they were definitely doing something suspicious. Like laughing silently. Or panicking. "No one's getting ditched," he said after a pause. "And what villain's sister?" I froze. I smiled sweetly, grabbing a handful of shopping bags. "You know what? I think I'm just going to go try on my new shoes and question every life decision I've ever made." I marched up the stairs before I could say anything else incriminating, mentally slapping myself with each step. Why couldn't I just keep my mouth shut? Or my thoughts shut, in case Lucian was secretly Professor X. From now on, I needed to think about potatoes. Just potatoes. That way, if he was reading my mind, he'd only find boring, carb-related nonsense. I reached my room, closed the door, and whispered to myself, potatoes. 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 I was going to survive this. One expensive handbag and maybe one mental breakdown at a time. Chapter 4, I had a plan. IT wasn't a smart plan. It wasn't even a functional plan. But it was mine, and it involved thinking about potatoes every time Lucian looked at me for longer than 3 seconds. Mashed potatoes. Fried potatoes. Potato wedges. Potato salad. And once, in a moment of desperation, I imagined a single majestic potato wearing a crown and tap dancing. Look, it wasn't supposed to make sense. It was supposed to protect my brain, because the man was starting to act weird. Lucian used to be aloof and busy, appearing for dinner like a ghostly stock photo husband. Now he was asking questions, making eye contact, lingering. This morning, I caught him staring at me while I buttered my toast. "What?" I asked, paranoid. "Do I have jam on my face?" "No," he said slowly. "Just, you're very quiet lately." I blinked at him. "Isn't that what you always wanted?" "Silence from your forgettable plot device wife." He stared harder. "Potatoes." I screamed internally. He hummed like he could hear them. I was losing it. Worse, the staff had started noticing the change. Our housekeeper, Miss Dottie, actually cornered me after breakfast and whispered like she was passing state secrets. "He asked if you were happy, ma'am." Twice. I nearly dropped my teacup. Lucian hadn't even noticed when I dyed my hair pink last year. Plot twist. It was a wig, but still. Now he was asking philosophical questions about my emotions. What was next? Feelings, no. I refused. I was not getting attached. The last time I got attached to anything, it was a scented candle that exploded and nearly burned my apartment down. I would not be emotionally singed again. I doubled down on my NPC duties. I hosted a tea party with obnoxious noblewomen, smiled while they gossiped about how reserved my husband was, and bought another 3 pairs of shoes just to feel something. Lucian showed up mid-party. I nearly choked on my macaron. "Ladies," he said with a polite nod before walking straight up to me. "You forgot your scarf this morning." He handed it to me like it was a bouquet of roses. I blinked. "Thanks." He nodded once and left. The room was silent. Lady Prune, the most dramatic of the gossips, leaned over and whispered, "Did your husband just do something romantic in public?" I panicked. "No," I said too loudly. "It's just a scarf. He doesn't even like me." "It's fine. This is all fine." Then I laughed. Weird and loud. Like someone who definitely wasn't spiraling over a man who might be reading her mind. "Have another macaron," Lady Prune said gently. I had 3. If Lucian was falling in love with me, I wasn't ready. If he wasn't, I didn't want to know. And if he really could read minds, well, I hoped he liked potatoes. Chapter 5, I was doing great. Spectacular. Even great. I mean, I was absolutely 100% avoiding my husband like he was the plot twist I didn't ask for. It had been 3 days since the scarf incident. 3 days of strategic exits, perfectly timed naps, and mastering the fine art of pretending to be asleep whenever Lucien walked into a room. I even convinced the butler to tell him I had a mysterious cold. "Don't let him near me," I whispered dramatically. I might be contagious with emotional instability. But here's the thing about rich husband types who may or may not be telepathic. They notice things. Like when their usually invisible NPC wife starts moving like a ninja and hiding behind curtains. Of course, one fine afternoon, I made the mistake of thinking, he probably doesn't even care if I'm avoiding him. He has a whole novel to fulfill without me, and boom. Like a cursed genie summoned by a wish I didn't mean to make, Lucien appeared in the garden, Lila. I froze mid-step, holding a tray of tea I had no intention of drinking and definitely no intention of sharing. Slowly, robotically, I turned to face him. "Oh, you're here." He blinked at me. "I live here." Curses. Foiled by logic. "Well," I said, clutching my teacup like it was a weapon, "you're usually lurking. In your study. Being broody. You know, villain husband things." His eyebrow lifted. I mentally screamed potatoes, 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 just in case. Lucien walked closer, hands in his pockets. "Are you avoiding me?" "Me?" I said with the most unconvincing giggle to ever exist. "Pfft, no. Why would I do that? We're besties. Brothers chums. Platonic soulmates." He stared. My brain short-circuited. "Please stop looking at me like that. I will combust. This isn't even fair. You're not supposed to be hot and emotionally available. Pick a struggle." Lucien sighed, then took the teacup straight from my hands and sipped it like he had every right to. "If you're hiding something, I'll find out." What makes you think I'm hiding something? Because you think very loudly. My heart stopped. Just a little. Nope. He's bluffing. He doesn't actually know. No one just casually says stuff like that. Right? Right. I turned away quickly. "Well, if you'll excuse me, I need to go check on my rose bushes. Personally, emotionally, spiritually." Then I ran away. Yes, ran. In heels. Because if Lucien wasn't reading my thoughts, then I was spiraling for no reason. And if he was, then I needed to stop mentally ranking the way his shirt clung to his arms before I accidentally narrated my entire slow descent into accidental wifely affection. Ugh, why was this my life? Chapter 6 today was supposed to be normal. Chill. A no Lucien zone. My agenda included 3 essential items. 1. Avoid husband. Point 2. Avoid thoughts about husband. Point 3. Don't accidentally fall in love with husband. Simple. Logical. Foolproof. So naturally, I ended up alone in the library with Lucien. I was just there for a book. One harmless little book about calming the mind and not thinking about your emotionally confusing, possibly telepathic spouse. But the universe was clearly in its comedy era, because guess who waltzed in like a brooding male lead on cue? Lila, Lucien said, like we were on a first-name basis and not in the middle of my personal crisis. I froze mid-reach. "Lucien," I replied coolly, despite the fact that I was 80% sure my hair was doing something weird and I had cookie crumbs on my shirt. He tilted his head. "What are you doing?" "Nothing suspicious," I said way too fast. "Just reading. Not hiding. Definitely not spiraling about my imaginary plots." His eyes narrowed. "You think I'm going to fall in love with Serafina?" I choked on air. What? Who said that? That's insane. Who even is she? He said nothing. Oh no. Oh no. I quickly thought of something to throw him off. Mashed potatoes. Golden brown fries. Boiled yams wearing tiny sunglasses. Nothing. His expression didn't budge. "Look," I said, scrambling for dignity, "I'm just doing what any background character would do. Shopping. Looking pretty. Gently unraveling. You don't need to worry about me." He stepped closer. "I'm not worried." "Well, good," I blurted. "Because I'm totally fine. Emotionally stable. Functioning like a high-quality, emotionally repressed wife who spends her afternoons judging decorative vases." "Are you having a breakdown?" "No," I said, then smiled. "Maybe." Lucien reached out and gently plucked a leaf from my hair. I blinked. "You fell in a bush, didn't you?" "It was a controlled fall." He laughed. I didn't know whether to be proud or terrified. That sound could live butterflies. And me. Definitely me. Then I panicked. I should go. I said too cheerfully. Things to do. Places to stress in. But hey, don't worry about me falling for you or anything, HA. What? I meant you falling for me. Wait. No. I meant neither. I crashed into a bookshelf. Lucien caught me. Of course he did. One hand on my waist, one on my arm, like we were in the middle of a Regency-era waltz and not a personal embarrassment Olympics. I squeaked. His lips twitched. Careful. You'll give me ideas. I gasped. He winked. I fled. I may have accidentally flirted. And worse, I liked it. Chapter 7. The day started normally. I knocked over a vase, tried to charm the maid into covering for me, and accidentally wore slippers to the breakfast table. A typical Tuesday. Lucien was already there, looking suspiciously polished for a man who didn't sleep in the same wing as his wife. He glanced at me. You're wearing strawberry-printed slippers. I stared at my feet. No, I'm not. You are. Well, you're wearing a judgmental face. Fair. I sat, grabbed a piece of toast, and thought, don't think about yesterday. Don't think about the bookshelf. Or his arms. Or his weirdly perfect hair. Think about frogs. Yes, frogs in tiny suits. Lucien coughed into his teacup. Wait. No. And oh no, I squinted at him. Why are you laughing? I'm not. You are. That's your face laugh. My what? I narrowed my eyes like a suspicious squirrel. You've been acting weird. Laughing. Being nice. Catching me when I fall dramatically, which is, for the record, not a common activity. Lucien sipped his tea, looking completely unbothered. You think a lot, Lila. I froze. My toast dropped like my dignity. You think I think a lot? He gave me a small smile. Yes. Nope. That wasn't it. You said it weird. You said it like you know what I'm thinking. He said nothing. I stood up so fast my chair made a sound of protest. Ken read. My mind? Lucien blinked. Well, technically, I've been able to hear your thoughts since the day we got married. What? But I assumed you knew. You think so loudly. I was spiraling. There was no floor. No gravity. Just me and the embarrassing monologue of the past week playing like a highlight reel in my head. You mean you've heard everything? I shrieked. Lucien, far too calm for my mental health, nodded. All my panic. All the mashed potatoes. All the imaginary scenes where he ran off with Serafina. All the flirting I convinced myself wasn't flirting. Oh my God, I whispered. I'm going to die. I'm going to physically evaporate from shame. Lucien looked oddly amused. You're not even a little relieved? Relieved? You've had VIP access to the inner chaos that is my brain, and you didn't say anything. I've been narrating my own downfall like a dramatic theater kid. Admit it, he said smugly. You like me. I'm going to scream. I already heard it in your head 5 minutes ago. I threw a pillow at him and stormed out of the room, but in the hallway I whispered to myself, this explains so much. Because if Lucien had been in my head this whole time, then maybe, just maybe, his recent weirdness wasn't so weird after all. Maybe it meant something. And maybe that meant I wasn't the only one falling. Chapter 8. So, now we know. Lucien can read my mind. And I am a walking, talking, human disaster. For the record, I didn't talk to him for the rest of the day. I couldn't. Every time I looked at him, all I could think was, this man knows I mentally compared his biceps to forbidden pastries. Every single thought exposed. There's no dignity left. I even tried to think an interpretive dance just to confuse him. It did not work. Today, I had a new strategy. Avoid eye contact, think about math, and act normal. Spoiler, I failed at all three because Lucien found me in the garden talking to a squirrel. Again, I'm just saying, I whispered to the squirrel, if he already knows I'm mentally unhinged, maybe I should just go full chaos and propose a fake divorce to assert dominance. The squirrel blinked, probably judging me. I don't think that would work, Lucien's voice said behind me. I yelped, spun around, and tripped over my own feet. He caught me. Again, stop catching me. I gasped. Then stop falling for me, he said with a smirk. I screamed internally. Loudly, get out of my brain. I huffed. I live there now. It's quite noisy. Lots of internal screaming. Have you considered professional help? Have you considered that maybe I like what I hear? Pause. Full system shut down. WH what? He stepped closer. You talk to yourself constantly. You call me emotionally unavailable but dangerously attractive. You once imagined slapping me with a baguette. I was stressed. He grinned. I liked that one. You are the worst, I muttered, face hot enough to toast bread. He tucked a strand of my hair behind my ear. You're interesting, Lila. You pretend not to care, but your thoughts betray you. I'm not pretending, I said quickly. Too quickly, you are, he said. And you know what? I don't mind. Why not? He leaned in, his voice low. Because I like listening. My heart did that annoying fluttery thing again, and I swear my brain short-circuited. I shoved him lightly and stormed off, yelling over my shoulder. Just so you know, I'm thinking about cabbages right now. Lucien laughed. Of course he did. But secretly? Even though I was in denial and possibly going insane. I kind of liked it when he listened, even if it meant he heard everything. Chapter 9. I've been betrayed, not by Lucien, no. By my own traitorous heart. And okay, yes, maybe he saved me from falling off a garden wall because I tried to pick a flower that was just slightly out of reach. Don't ask. Maybe he brings me tea every evening now, just the way I like it. And maybe, just maybe, he told the chef to make mashed potatoes for dinner 3 nights in a row because he knows I'm emotionally attached to carbs. But that does not mean I like him. I definitely like him. Ugh. I was lying in bed, hugging a pillow like it owed me money. When it hit me, I'm falling for him. Worse, he nosed. He probably heard the exact moment my heart betrayed me. Stupid mind-reading handsome husband, I muttered into the pillow. What was that? A voice asked from the door. I screamed. Do you live in the shadows? Lucien stepped in, raising an eyebrow. You think too loud. I had to check on you. It sounded like you were threatening a pillow. I threw the pillow at him. It bounced off his chest like a fluffy insult. I'm fine, I huffed, grabbing another pillow to continue sulking. Just deeply humiliated on a spiritual level. Lucien walked in casually, sat on the edge of the bed like he owned the place. Which, okay, fair, and handed me a cookie. I stared at it suspiciously. What's this for? You sound like you need emotional support. I do not. You're hugging a pillow named Emotional Support Pillow. That's a coincidence. He chuckled and leaned back on his palms, looking entirely too attractive for my sanity. Lucien, I began carefully. Do you ever get confused? He tilted his head. Define confused. Like, when you were supposed to be this cold, distant husband. But now you're not. And suddenly, I'm not begging for your love. I'm just here, existing. And you're being nice. And listening to my thoughts. And making my brain go haywire every time you look at me. Lucien smiled. That's very specific confusion. I glared. You're not helping. I could kiss you. That might help. My soul left my body. Kiss me? He leaned closer, and I swear the world narrowed to just his smirking face and my rapidly overheating brain. I won't, he said, voice low. Unless you think about it first. I smacked him with the second pillow and rolled under the blanket. You're impossible. He laughed. And you're thinking about kissing me now. I am not. Now you're screaming in your head. Get out of my brain. Lucien stood up, still grinning. Sleep well, Mrs. Delusional. I didn't sleep well. I stayed up thinking about him, again, and this time, I didn't even pretend I wasn't enjoying it. Chapter 10. There are some things in life you just shouldn't do. Like eat spicy stew before a royal dinner, or accidentally overhear maids whispering about you and assume the absolute worst before thinking it through, or, confront your husband in the middle of sword practice and imply he's secretly in love with another woman, which is exactly what I did. Why? Because I was spiraling. Because 2 maids said the villain's sister would be a better match for Lord Lucien. Because apparently, I have 0 chill and a PhD in catastrophic overreactions. So naturally, I marched straight to Lucien like a woman on a mission. You like Serafina? I blurted, hands on my hips. Lucien, sweaty and shirtless, rude, froze mid-sword swing. I what? I waved my arms dramatically. It's fine, you know. I'm not mad. I mean, she's stunning, elegant. Her hair looks like it was brushed by angels. I totally get it. He blinked. Are you being serious right now? Dead serious, I said, tossing my head like the unbothered queen I definitely wasn't. I was just the NPC wife. Temporary. Decorative. A plot convenience. Go to her. Be free. Love, Lila. I jumped. He'd dropped the sword. His chest was rising and falling like he'd just sprinted through my nonsense. I have never had anything to do with Serafina, he thundered. I barely even know her. She's my friend's younger sister, and I've spoken exactly 7 words to her in my entire life. I blinked. Why would you even think? The maids said, the maids. He looked like he might explode. You heard gossip from maids and decided to throw an entire dramatic accusation at me? Yes. Lucien stared at me for a long, intense moment. Then he ran a hand down his face and laughed. It was not a happy laugh. You are unbelievable, he muttered. I said I wasn't mad. You accused me of harboring secret feelings for someone I've never interacted with. Okay, well, when you say it like that, Lila, he interrupted, stepping closer, eyes blazing. If I'm falling in love with anyone, it's you. Not some character from a plot you keep referencing like your life depends on it. System error. Brain rebooting. What? He groaned, frustrated. Do I need to write it in the sky? Do I need to tattoo it on my forehead? Yes. I like you, he shouted. I stared at him, stunned. Then I muttered, you don't have to yell. He leaned in, voice softer. Maybe I do. Since you seem determined to believe anything except the truth. My heart did a whole backflip. I might have also exploded into internal glitter, but I said nothing because suddenly, for the first time, I didn't know what to think. Chapter 11, I didn't sleep. Not because I was haunted by ghost maids or plagued by nightmares. Nope, I was awake because Lucien said he likes me. You know what kind of emotional damage that does to a girl who transmigrated into a book. Assumed she was just decorative furniture in the background, and made a 12-month financial plan based entirely on going shopping to cope. I lay in bed like a Victorian lady who'd just heard scandalous news, one hand dramatically across my forehead. I like you. His voice echoed in my head every 5 seconds like an annoying ringtone I couldn't shut off. How was I supposed to function after that? I was supposed to be emotionally immune. My role was simple: shop, look pretty, avoid getting assassinated in the villain arc, and let Lucien fall for the actual female lead. But now the male lead was out here declaring his affections like a passionate Regency hero. And my brain was a bowl of mashed potatoes. I was so deep in my emotional breakdown that I almost didn't notice Lucien standing at the door again. For the record, I did scream. Again, you have Tio stop appearing like that. He looked way too amused. You're thinking very loudly again. Stop eavesdropping on my thoughts. You screamed. Why is he hot and emotionally available directly into the mental void? It was a private panic. He walked over and held out a mug. Tea. Of course. He'd brought me tea like a charming trader. I thought you might need this, he said. I took it with a glare. I'm not saying thank you. You're welcome. I sipped the tea. It was perfect. Like annoyingly perfect. We stood there in silence for a moment, me overthinking every atom of existence, him being suspiciously calm and smug. So I started. Lucien raised an eyebrow. Yes, that thing you said. About liking me. Was that like a temporary fever thing? Or was it real? Or were you emotionally compromised because I accused you of liking a girl you've never actually spoken to? Not that I'm bringing that up again, but like for data purposes. He chuckled. It's real. I stared at him. That's illegal. What? You can't just say stuff like that and be attractive at the same time. It's a personal attack. Lucien took the tea from my hand, set it down, and leaned closer until his forehead was nearly touching mine. Then sue me. He whispered. My brain stopped functioning. I may or may not have let out a tiny squeak before diving under my blanket and refusing to emerge. Lucien just laughed and walked out like a man who hadn't just casually demolished all my emotional defenses. I lay there, staring into the darkness. I'm in trouble, I whispered to the void. The void, much like Lucien, was unsympathetic. Chapter 12. There are 7 stages of grief. I went through all of them in one afternoon. Twice. Because Lucien freaking Thornheart, the man I thought would leave me, the man I married for background character purposes, has decided to become the most dangerously romantic man in existence. I mean, who says, then sue me? Like that? I haven't recovered. And now, today, he took me riding to ASN, horseback riding. Together. In the woods. With wildflowers and sunlight and birds that chirped in perfect harmony like they were paid to. I thought you might enjoy getting out of the manor, he said casually. Like he wasn't planning to ruin my mental peace for the 3rd day in a row. I mounted the horse like a girl who didn't have a full-blown meltdown simmering just under the surface. I don't like him, I told the horse. The horse blinked. I mean, maybe I like him a little. Like a teaspoon. A very small, barely measurable, non-legally binding amount. The horse snorted. You're judging me. Lucien turned his horse around and trotted closer. Talking to your steed again? He listens. He has a better poker face than you, he muttered with a smirk. I stuck out my tongue. He laughed. Charming. We rode in silence for a bit, the kind that wasn't awkward, just loaded. Emotionally, romantically, dangerously. And I was trying to play it cool, totally failed, especially when Lucien reached over and plucked a flower from a nearby bush and tucked it behind my ear like he hadn't just committed an act of poetic warfare. There, he said. Perfect. I short-circuited. I was not okay. I was blushing so hard I probably looked sunburned. My heart was doing gymnastics. My thoughts were a loud, screaming mess of, he's too hot. Abort mission. This was not in the NPC handbook. And then he smiled. Like, really smiled. That quiet, soft, rare smile that made me feel like he only ever smiled that way for me. And I realized something terrifying. I didn't want to be an NPC anymore. I wanted to be the main character, his main character. I wanted to kiss him. I wanted to hold his hand in public. I wanted to argue about dumb things and then make up dramatically in the rain. I wanted Lucien to choose me. Every time that so naturally, I panicked. I should go shopping. I blurted. He blinked. What? Emergency shopping. Very serious. For mental health reasons. Lucien just shook his head and grinned like he could read exactly what was going on in my mind, which, to be fair, he could. But I didn't know he knew I didn't know that he knew. IT was a mess. A beautiful, terrifying mess. And I was officially in love with my husband. Oops. Chapter 13. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that when you're married to a guy who can literally hear your thoughts, nothing is ever private. Like, I can't even think about ice cream without him somehow knowing, which, by the way, is highly invasive, and I am not okay with IT. There I was, sitting across from him in the sitting room, trying to maintain some sort of dignity, like a normal person would when Lucien, being the charmer he is, decided it was time for the ultimate confession. Lila, he said, voice low and serious, there's something you need to know. I froze. Every muscle in my body locked up. If I were a cartoon, I would have had a giant sweat drop on my forehead right now. Something I need to know? I had already been spiraling since this morning when I caught myself thinking about him again, but now I was pretty sure I was on the verge of having a panic attack. Lucien, what is it? He sighed deeply, like this was an incredibly difficult conversation to have. His eyes softened as he ran a hand through his hair. I can hear your thoughts, he said, his tone steady but nervous. That was not what I expected. I stared at him, unblinking. What? You heard me, he said, nodding. I can read your mind. I've been able to do it for a while now. I sat there in complete and utter silence, because how on earth was I supposed to process this? You can what? I finally screamed, my face turning red from both embarrassment and sheer disbelief. All this time, I didn't want to tell you until you figured it out, he explained, looking sheepish. Figure it out? Are you kidding me? I've been having full-blown existential crises in my head, and you've just been listening to it like a free audiobook." "I thought you'd notice sooner," he said, a little too casually, as if this was something people just do. "Notice sooner?" I repeated. "Lucien, I've been talking to myself in my own head about how I've lost my mind and thought you were falling for Serafina." His eyebrows furrowed. "Who told you that?" "It doesn't matter," I yelled, slapping my hand down on the table dramatically. "You've been listening to my thoughts for who knows how long, and I'm supposed to notice that you're reading them. This isn't normal, Lucien." He stood up suddenly, looking like he was going to explode with frustration. "I didn't ask for this," he shouted. "I didn't ask for this ability. It's as much of a curse for me as it is for you." I stared at him, feeling the confusion twist my stomach. "But why didn't you tell me? You could have just—" "I don't know, said something when I was spiraling about you liking Serafina. I was waiting for you to trust me enough to open up," he yelled back. "I wanted you to talk to me, not assume the worst and shut me out every time things got complicated." I blinked. "So, you were just letting me suffer?" "It's not that simple," he muttered, rubbing the back of his neck. "Lucien." I groaned, throwing my hands up in the air. "You have to be joking. You've been hearing my every random thought, and you didn't think it was important to tell me you could read my mind." He looked at me seriously, voice dropping to a softer tone. "I didn't want you to think I was invading your privacy. I wanted you to feel comfortable enough to talk to me first." I stared at him, my thoughts spiraling all over again. I feel like I'm losing my mind. I don't even know what's real anymore. He walked toward me slowly, his expression softening. "Lila, I'm not going anywhere. Not with you. Not with your thoughts. I like you. And I'm not going to let a little telepathy stop me from proving that." I swallowed hard, feeling both overwhelmed and strangely comforted by his words. "You really do like me?" "Of course I do," he said with a gentle smile. "You're all I think about." My heart stopped. "So, no more Serafina?" "Lila," he said softly, brushing a lock of hair behind my ear. "There was never anyone else. Just you." And in that moment, I realized I might just be the luckiest NPC ever. Chapter 14. So, apparently, once your husband confesses that he can literally read your every thought, and you're somehow okay with it, it changes everything. Not like life-changing changes. More like randomly kissing in the middle of conversations kind of changes. Which is, of course, exactly what we did. IT started simple. Too simple. Actually, we were sitting on the balcony, overlooking the estate. It was late, and the moon was glowing, casting a soft light over everything. I thought I might have been dreaming, except for the fact that Lucien's hand was resting comfortably on my knee. "I think I might just live here forever," I said, looking out at the view. "Do you?" he asked, his voice low, the hint of a smile tugging at his lips. I looked over at him. "Maybe." There was something about his smile that always made my heart do a flip. "Maybe?" he echoed, raising an eyebrow. "You don't seem so sure." I shrugged, trying to act like I had my life together. "Well, considering I might be married to a guy who listens to my every thought, I'm not so sure about anything anymore." "Noted," he said, leaning in closer. "But, you know, it's not the worst thing in the world, right?" And I might have felt my face go pink. I mean, I guess if you're not the type to use this mind-reading power for evil, I could get used to it. His grin turned mischievous. "Do you know how many times I've heard you think about certain things?" "Please don't remind me," I groaned, burying my face in my hands. "I'm going to die of embarrassment." But, of course, Lucien was way too smug for that. "Why do you think I've been paying so much attention to you lately?" He leaned forward, his breath warm on my ear. "I've been waiting for the right moment." My heart skipped a beat. I didn't have time to think before his lips were on mine. And, okay, let's be real, this kiss? Way too romantic. It was the kind of kiss that made me forget my own name. When he pulled away, his eyes were darker than usual. "I'm not sorry," he said, his voice a little roughed. I couldn't even respond. I was too busy trying to figure out how we went from casually talking to full-on making out in like 30 seconds, and then I remembered something. "Wait a minute," I said, still a little breathless. You said you've been paying attention to me lately, but Lucien raised a finger to my lips, silencing me. Yeah, but I don't think you need to know all the details. For now. My brain melted a little bit. Okay, no, a lot. I'm still not sure how to handle this whole "you can read my mind" thing, I admitted, my hands slightly shaking. It's a lot. Don't worry, Lila, he said, taking my hand. I'll take care of you. You'll get used to it. And honestly, I probably would. Because I had to admit something. I liked the way he looked at me. The way he saw me, really saw me. And the way he was there for me. Even if he could hear every single embarrassing, confused, and completely ridiculous thought running through my mind, I wasn't sure what the future held, whether it was more miscommunication, more embarrassing moments, or more mind-reading chaos. But I knew one thing. I didn't want to face it without him by my side. Lucien, I started to say, but he cut me off. I know, he whispered, before kissing me again. And just like that, everything was perfect. Even if we both knew it probably wasn't. Epilogue: if you'd told me 2 weeks ago that I would end up genuinely falling for Lucien, the guy who can read my thoughts, I would have laughed. Or at least, I would have laughed if I didn't think he might have been able to hear it. It's been a weird journey, to say the least, but here we are, and honestly, things are way less awkward than they should be. I think that's because, at this point, we've already crossed the insanely weird line and dove straight into the so comfortable that we have a secret language zone, you know. The type of relationship where one person might mind read their way through a fight and the other one is pretending they didn't think about cake for the 5th time in a row. And, apparently, Lucien knows about all of that. I'm sitting in the living room, curled up in the armchair with my favorite book in hand, trying to focus on something, anything, that isn't Lucien's silent presence. It's hard, okay? Because for the last week, I've spent about 90% of my time in complete internal chaos, wondering if he could still hear me think about that one time he kissed me like he meant it. Of course, just as I'm trying to push those thoughts away, because apparently I have no self-control. Lucien walks in. I know what you're thinking, he says casually, leaning against the doorframe with that infuriatingly smug grin of his. I stare at him for a beat, then glare. Oh, really? Do you? He shrugs, that grin still on his face. Yep, you're thinking about the time I kissed you and how you didn't expect me to make your heart race like that. I hate how good he is at this. Lucien, stop it, I groan, burying my face in my book, but I can't hide the smile that creeps up anyway. I'm not doing anything, he says, stepping closer and sitting next to me. It's not my fault you can't control your thoughts. Or your invasive abilities, I mutter under my breath. Hey, I wasn't the one who wanted to marry someone with mind-reading powers. That's not how it went down. I protest, shaking my head. But now I'm stuck with you, so here I am. Lucien looks at me, and for a moment, there's no smug grin. No teasing. Just this soft look in his eyes. Lila, he says quietly, I've never been more grateful to be stuck with anyone. You know that, right? My heart flutters, and I nearly drop my book. I mean it, he continues, leaning in a little closer. When I first realized I could hear your thoughts, I thought it would be a curse. But then I started listening, really listening. And all I wanted to do was be with you. I blink at him, caught in the sincerity of his words. But you, I begin, but he cuts me off, I know. I thought you'd be terrified of me knowing all your secrets, your insecurities. But I wasn't afraid. I wanted to be there for you. Even if you didn't want to talk to me. Even if you were too scared to open up. And then it clicks. Everything. The way he's always been there. How he never judged me. How he tried, and sometimes failed, to give me space, all while reading my mind like I was an open book. No pun intended. I can't help but feel this surge of affection, this warmth bubbling up. Well, I'm not terrified, I admit. I'm not scared anymore. You sure about that? Lucien raises an eyebrow. I'm sure, I say with a smile, and before I can even stop myself, I add, I'm kind of glad you can read my mind. He leans in, that mischievous grin returning. Oh, really? Yeah, I say, lifting my chin defiantly. At least you'll always know when I'm thinking about you. His eyes soften, and without another word, He kisses me, slow, sweet, and full of everything that's still unspoken between us. But as always, there's a lingering thought at the back of my mind, and Lucien, of course, hears it. I still don't know how I'm supposed to deal with you reading my thoughts all the time. He pulls away just enough to smirk at me. Don't worry, Lila. I'll make it worth it. And just like that, the last pieces of my doubts about this whole crazy, mind-reading, marriage thing fall away. Because, in the end, we're still figuring it out, together.